At the end of a long day, it's usually time for me to sit down and watch or listen to some of my favorite media content, which is almost always a podcast or a YouTube video. My favorite podcast to listen to is the Steve Dangle podcast. I listen to it whether I'm at home or on the go, and I really like it because they talk about something I love, hockey, and make it really funny and interesting. Other podcasts I like are Under the Influence and Backstage at the Vinyl Cafe, though they are very different in genre. If I'm on YouTube, I like watching Cody Ko, Daryl Talks Games, or Savage Books. Cody Ko reacts to videos, Daryl Talks Games talks about, well, games, and Savage Books talks about books and their aspects like plot, characters, and themes. Though everything I watch or listen to is very different content, one thing stays the same between them all. It's almost always one or a few people in a room talking about something I find really interesting. And the way they talk makes it feel like I'm almost in the room with them, like it's some sort of conversation. I'm reminded of the early days of radio, when a disembodied voice first came into people's homes and it felt like it was in the room with them. So what forms of media led to the content that I consume today? The first medium is the 19th century penny press newspapers, who sold their copies for only a few cents, so their distribution was huge. They made most of their money from advertisers, who would pay for page space to get in front of all those people. Profits work the same way on YouTube. The site sells ad space to advertisers in and between the videos, and the content creators make their money based on the number of views they get. Just watch any YouTube video. It'll probably start with at least 2 ads, and during the length of the video, there'll probably be another 2 at the very minimum. The next medium is yellow journalism and tabloid magazines. This kind of journalism relies on outrageous stories and eye-catching images on the cover to grab people's attention, and they aren't necessarily focused on whether the story is true or not. Think thumbnails, think headlines. The YouTube homepage is full of wild pictures and all uppercase titles to grab your attention. They play up the story for drama and end up getting massive amounts of views. It's the same thing for podcasts. Podcasters will spout controversial opinions and ideas in order to get a lot of listens. Lastly is the early days of radio, like I mentioned before. The very idea of a program being broadcast to thousands or millions of people simultaneously was developed here. Back then it was newscasts, speeches, and entertainment, like the Grand Ole Opry and Your Hit Parade. And now it's mostly the same thing. We still have news, we still have comedy, and we also have sports. So while the style of content is very much the same, it's only really the medium that's changed. Instead of these radio devices that are broadcast to all our homes through antenna and radio signals, it's now downloaded directly onto our phones. So while I'm not going to go back and consume that kind of media instead of my favorite podcast, it is fascinating to see where it came from and how the media has developed over time.